Hello and welcome to this week's episode of The Capitalist Investor. As always, you have me, Diamond Hands D, and Tony the Tiger. What's going on, man?
What's up, man? Luke's on assignment again.
Yep.
Always jet setting around the country.
Styling and profiling.
Yeah. So. All right. So today we're going to talk about the biggest takeaway from earnings season that I see. I mean, I could dissect this stock and that stock and blah, blah, blah. But what I really see is stock buybacks have been, they set a record. They're the highest levels since 2018, which was the highest level ever. Mm-hmm. So over this last 6 years, we've seen stock buybacks become an increasing theme, specifically right now. And is that a good sign for things to come for the market and the economy? Because what a stock buyback really, in my opinion, is a company saying, we're flush with cash, we don't know what to do with it, so we're just going to buy more of ourselves. We're going to take away the supply and create more demand. Mm-hmm. So that should give reassurance to the stockholder. It would for me, saying, oh man, they're buying their own stock back, like, cool. They must be on board. Right? And if they weren't, like maybe a company would be worried about a severe economic slowdown, a recession. Companies aren't doing well. They don't have enough cash to buy back, right? So if they were worried about something in the future, they'd be holding onto that cash and creating, that a war chest, to get through economic downturns. Because if the last thing you want to do is buy your stock high and then it goes down and then you lost your money, you literally lost your money, right? But I do feel like it creates a great foundation. It's a great positive catalyst for an investor. It should be like saying, hey, I bought a company and they're on board too. Let's do this.
Yep.
But of the $380 billion that were announced throughout this earnings season, 260 of that billion is basically coming from the large giant tech stocks, the 7 companies that held up this market, or the big tech that held up. I don't want to call all of them are buying back, but 2 of them are Apple and Google, right? Apple's buying, they said they're going to create a $110 billion buyback program, and Google's doing $70 billion.
Yep.
That's a big chunk of change, specifically from the pot that is saying, oh man, so it's these mega tech companies coming in and saying, all right, we're going to buy our own stuff. Is that really a good sign? I question how good it is, because the headline number, 300, companies are buying, biggest buyback program, but it's coming from a select few of companies. I just laddered off 2 and it's half of the buyback program.
Yep. So, I think for me, Apple's announcement was kind of telling. Because, yeah, I mean, you're exactly right. Stock buybacks should, I'd say in a vacuum or in general, that should make investors feel good. So, if you're a shareholder of Apple, like basically everyone is these days, that would be a good sign, right? The company's investing in themselves. It's going to reduce supply, so that in turn should increase the share price. But I wonder specifically for Apple if that wasn't really their main motivation for doing it, because everything else they announced wasn't so hot in their quarterly earnings report.
Yeah, their revenues are down. Their sale, their earnings
demand,
everything
came in below what they were looking at.
Their goggles are not doing well.
I mean, yeah, I don't know if the I think Apple's in a very similar situation to where they were, kind of in the early 2010s. They need to kind of figure out the next thing.
Yeah.
Back then,
100%, 110%. They're dead. They're just not they're not a high flying growing company anymore.
Yep. And back then, it was essentially, and why it's why they've gotten to this level, the ecosystem of the Apple products, and essentially all the subscription services, revenue from the App Store, all that good stuff. So that's how they kind of reinvented themselves last time. Now, you hear they're getting into the AI chips. They have those Google or the goggles that are $3,500. Obviously, that's not going to be a main driver of revenue. The first pass of technology, and it gets better and available to more people from there.
It gets better and cheaper.
Yep, exactly.
But I mean, like you said, like back in the day, they created the Mac, then the iPod, and then the iPad, and then the iPhone.
Mm-hmm.
Like
the watch.
Everyone loves their watch. So, what's next?
So when I saw that giant, because I thought for a while, and I've been a huge Apple fanboy for a long time, but it kind of was feeling like, well, what's next for them, or are they just go, or is this it really?
Well, what did you say? So like I just had an idea. Well, you said what they have $200 billion in cash.
Yeah.
Apple does.
Yep,
it's a lot of money.
Yeah,
and now they're going to allocate half of it towards stock buybacks.
Mm-hmm.
Is there something on the horizon with Apple?
I don't think so. that was my main takeaway.
I mean, if maybe they're setting themselves up, saying, "Hey, we know that something's going to launch in the next 1 or 2 years."
Yeah.
But and Apple has kind of come off of their highs, right? I don't know. It's something to think about.
I think that would be the normal reaction to a stock buyback program of this magnitude. But I do, in the back of my mind, worry that it is really being done to prop up the stock and the share price. And
really?
Obviously
okay, so it's not something coming down the pike. It's here. I'm like, hey, we're gonna make sure this thing doesn't implode. And
yeah,
and well, I mean, heck, Berkshire, our boy Warren.
That was my next point.
Our boy Warren chopped some shares, right?
Yeah, I think 13% of his stake. 13%.
That's
he
not
dumped.
bad. I mean, if you take a look at their last 5 years, like they're at all-time highs. So
Yeah.
I mean, I guess Warren doesn't.
And
think that anything's
they've
coming
got
down
a
the
lot
pike.
of Apple stock too. He was buying that for a while. So, but yeah, that's. I think that's the move Warren Buffett should have made, given his position, to start to wind that down. Because again, just my opinion. It felt more like a propping up of the stock and having something good to announce when some key numbers were moving down versus, hey, there's innovation around the corner and we want to cash in on some of that.
Yeah. All right. Well, so stock buybacks. Headline number, in my opinion, is great. Mm-hmm. But unfortunately, 2/3 of the buybacks are coming from megatech.
Yep.
So is that good or bad? Are they making too much money? I mean, like, like you got to go out and. I mean, I just bought an iPhone and I'm like, oh my god.
Oh yeah.
I remember when I was paying like $500, $600, $700 for one. Now they're $1,200.
Yeah.
It's like Jesus. Anyway, so stock buybacks a good thing. We'll see how it plays out when these big tech companies start buying their own shares. Maybe it just props up the whole market.
Yep.
Keeps it propped up. So, all right, we'll see how that plays out. But all right, take us home, D.
Well, thanks for listening this week. If you guys have any questions, comments, show ideas, hit us up at info@swpconnect.com, and we'll talk to you next week.
The opinions expressed in the podcast are for general informational purposes only and are not intended to provide specific advice or recommendations for any investment, legal, financial, or tax strategy. It is only intended to provide education about the financial industry. Please consult a qualified professional about your individual needs.